Good morning to the people out there in YouTube land. I am Nate the lawyer. Welcome to the channel. Oh, we have our first. Oh, look at this, Natalie Wisco. Hey, what's up, Natalie? You should get your behind in here. I dropped the link. If you need the link, let me know. Natalie Wisco. Thank you for becoming a member. I'm actually honored. If you guys don't know, Natalie was one part of the team for the Rittenhouse trial. So Natalie's been on. She's been on a couple of live streams with us, and Natalie's is fantastic. So thank you so much for becoming a member. And yeah, I'm extremely honored. So Natalie Wisco, everybody. We are on Twitter together, so check us definitely out on Twitter. Hopefully, Natalie will start up a YouTube channel and blow up, because I think it's going to be easy to blow up. Who says? Who is this? Who is late? Nate is late. What do you mean it's 10 o'clock? I started at 10 o'clock. Oh my God. People, really? You want me to start early? Let me say hello to the people. I can get used to these daily live streams. Oh, thank you. Since there's no trial this week, I thought I can just do some live streams and say hello to the people and give my thoughts during the week, because during the case, it's just so much going on. So right now, it's just a little crazy. Nate is big time now. Okay, well, thank you. Here it is, Nate the later. Hello, people. Nate almost at 200,000. It will happen. Oh yeah, it'll happen. I'm not worried about it. My honestly is just putting out great content and trying to let you guys be most informed about the situations that are going on. Now, I do have a guest here, but the guest has stepped away. So what I'm going to do is let me give you guys an overview of what we're going to do today. So today we're going to be looking at media coverage. We've had 3 weeks of the trial, and we're going to look at, I got my notes here. We're going to look at media coverage. So I have some things I wanted to point out to you before we start looking at different clips and seeing what's going on with the media. So first things I want to talk about is this trial is kind of 2 trials wrapped up into one. I don't care what anybody else is telling me. I don't care who's telling you anything different, right? This is one trial, but it's really 2 trials wrapped in one. It's a public relations trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And the second thing is that this is a defamation case in that courtroom. So in the courtroom, it's a defamation case, but outside, it's a PR battle. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, the difference between the PR piece and the defamation piece. And it's so interesting because when you're talking about specifically about the public relation piece, one thing I always like to mention is that you can win your trial but lose the public relations piece, and that happens all the time. A couple of examples I got: OJ absolutely won his case, right? He won he didn't go to jail, but he lost the civil trial, but he didn't go to jail. That means that that's him winning the trial but losing the public relations battle. Everybody thinks he's a murderer. Casey Anthony's another one. Won a trial but lost the public. Everybody thinks she killed her child. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about losing the public relations battle over the actual case. And I think in this case, right now, today, we're looking at the public relations battle and not really the defamation battle going in court. So I want everybody to understand that that's how we're going to be looking at this thing. Thank you for the super sticker, Connie, for $10 or 10 euros. Thank you. So let me bring in my guests, because I got some other lawyers who are going to jump in here and give their opinions too. This is my boy John. Boom.
How are y'all?
John, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward, because I think you're absolutely right. I actually think that this trial, win or lose, and we sort of talked about it on the law, he probably loses, but I think this whole thing was just about him getting an opportunity to give his side of the story.
Oh yeah. And I think at the end of the day, I think he's already won. I think Johnny Depp, for lack of a better word, has already won. And that, I think, is the thing that I think Amber Heard's side is trying to grappling with, because I think the narrative is so baked into the trial now. Unless she has something explosive coming up, that narrative isn't going to change. You know what I mean?
It's been interesting to me because after her testimony, you've seen a lot of articles from sort of, more mainstream publications. And it was kind of remarkable, although maybe it shouldn't be, how uncritical they were of her testimony.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I think the New York Post, the New York Post, for instance, is owned by the Sun, is owned by the same organization that owns the Sun. So they've like said they're all, she's 100% totally believable. She was the victim. Johnny's a bad guy. But I understand that because their parent company owns both the son and which Johnny, so they're extremely biased. I was
but even Fox was uncritical in a lot of cases.
Oh yeah. All right, but guess what? I have a news clip of Fox because you're right. They were first they were critical, but then their fans kind of rebelled against them, and they have a totally new tune now. So let's do this. Let me get this super chat down real quick before, because they will not get backed up on me today. Peter says, yes, we want you to start early. As I've told Viva for years, early is on time. on time is late, and late don't bother showing up. Peter, thank you so much for the super chat. And you know what? I'll try to be at least a minute early, since I gotta be early to be on time. Brett is one of the best people on the planet. Britt for $20. Boom, Britt. I want to thank you, not for all the law and analyses, not just for putting out the facts and the law videos, for the not for the live streams. All those are great. However, going to watch media coverage so I can avoid it. That is amazing. Thank you, Britt. Hey, Britt, you're not the juror of the trial, so you should be okay. You can watch everything. So thanks for the $20 super chat. So let's get into it. Let's before that, I do want to say, just give a little background on the media coverage so far. So before the trial started, media coverage was Johnny Depp is an abuser. He abused his wife, and he lost the son trial, right? So that's what we had before the trial started. We all know that was the perception. He had been Me Too'd and essentially canceled, right? So he couldn't get a job. His life was essentially, his career was essentially over. Then the audio came out. The first of the audio, before this trial started, the audio came out. And remember, that audio was Amber Heard essentially nonchalantly explaining, in that recording, saying how she slapped Johnny, how she hit him, how she punched him. So people started changing their perception. Like, hold on, she's on tape admitting she punched him, calling him a baby, saying nobody would believe him. That doesn't seem like the story that we were told by the media all this time. And I think that started changing perceptions. And then we hit the trial. And then the trial, by Depp's team laying everything out, painted an extremely different picture, I think, what everybody had already bought. And that's why I think at this point in time, he's winning the PR battle. What do you think, John?
No, I entirely agree with you. I think that, to people who are on Team Depp, it sort of seemed like a snow job that, he was dealing with for 6 years. And if it weren't for the UK trial, I think that he might have been better served by starting this one sooner. But,
yeah, I think he may have got some bad advice. But if you think about the UK trial, just it's easier to win in defamation in the UK. I think as a strategic thing, I think that's what they thought. It's easier to win in UK. They probably just didn't realize the evidentiary issues they would have by suing in the UK. And I think that's what killed them in the UK case.
I also think that the issue was that the Sun article is very different than going after Amber herself and her words, because you're dealing with a media entity. You're not dealing with an individual. It's a very different ball game in that regard.
Oh yeah. Let me take care of these two super chats, and then we're going to start watching some videos, people. So the first is we're going to look at stuff from the United States, from across the pond. We're going to look at CNN, Fox News, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan. We're going to see all their clips and see how they have come to, during the break, how they think about the trial. So let me take care of these two. A lawyer is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Thank you, Anton. Thank you.
And off the lawyer.
Frank Perry says, you just reminded my dad, who I lost in 2020. He would say 15 minutes early is on time, and on time is late. Thank you for the smile. It's funny because I had a boss who used to say that if you're here on time, you're late. So yeah. I'm sorry about you losing your father a couple of years ago, but thanks for the super chat. That was awesome. Let's get to the first video. So this first video I'll show you guys is coming from where is that? This one. Boop. So this is from Sunrise. And this is their legal analysis of the Amber Heard trial. So we're not going to be playing. So everybody understands we're not going to be playing the whole thing. We're going to play clips of these videos. So let's listen to this video clip and see what they're saying. Now remember, all these are taken after the trial or after Amber's testimony, so we get to see kind of figure out how people think about this trial, or how the media is spinning this trial. So, oops, let me get this and let's play it.
And telling us her testimony, it seemed like she was trying to remember. They told me to say eggshells.
You can hear this, right, John?
So that was very problematic.
Yes.
But then when she actually told stories of things that actually happened, it was very natural and very believable. So we got to see the contrast between the things that were rehearsed and the things that she just knew.
Well, we saw Johnny Depp. He spent 4 days giving evidence, and that was equally gripping. How do you think he came across then?
You know, the whole thing was very sad. I mean, let's be honest. Johnny Depp had to reveal a lot of things about himself that I think he's been trying to hide for a long time. He's an alcoholic. He's a drug addict. He had a terrible problem for many, many years. But he came across very genuine. He was telling us things that you can see he wasn't very happy to be talking about, but he was talking about it. And I don't remember, they're both actors. You always have to think to yourself, which one of them is doing the better job acting? But the truth is neither one of them are acting. I think she truly is making up a story, and he is absolutely telling us his truth. And I just want to say, I always believe women, always. Except then there's Amber Heard, and it's very hard to believe her. I want to, but the way she's coming across in her testimony just feels like it's just not genuine.
All right. What do you think? That's the first monster hit, right? So this is the Sunrise. This is from Australia, across the pond. And remember, a lot of the stuff happened in Australia. So this person from Australia is saying, I believe women. I want to believe Amber, but I just can't. What do you think, John?
That's sort of an interesting one because, look, I thought she was going in a different direction at the beginning of the clip. Uh-huh. But no, I tend to agree with her. I thought, I agree. Johnny came across very, very genuine, and Amber's a tough one. Is just because, it's that sort of question of who's acting better, and she came across as acting, and if you're acting, you're not supposed to come across as acting.
Yeah, she's definitely acting for sure. But it's interesting because I think you had this woman seems to want to be on Amber's side, right? This person she's like, I actually want to believe her, but what I'm seeing here is just not believable. And this is public. This person, it's interesting because sometimes I always feel that we get caught up in our own bubbles, and my bubble is saying Amber's a liar, right? So I always like to try to step outside of my bubble and see what other bubbles are saying about the situation. And I think it's fascinating that this bubble, this Australians in Australia, they're saying kind of the same things that we've been hearing about, all throughout this testimony, Amber Heard's testimony, is that she's not believable, and that there just seems to be something off with what she's saying. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it would be interesting to see, what the same news show was saying prior to this trial. And, I don't know, but I would imagine that they were probably on her side previously. And there's something about her testimony that just sort of flips the script, so to speak.
Yeah. And I love the end. She's like, I believe all women. I want to believe Amber. Yeah. But I just can't. I think that shows you that her mentality went in, I want to believe Amber. But then watching the testimony, it's like, well, but I can't, and I can't honestly say I believe her. Let me take care of some of these super chats that came in. Thanks again for you guys for being journalists. Yo Nate, the secret agent. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick Wilson, for $2. Britt Cormier for $5. She is 100% correct. Neither are acting, but AH is trying to act, and JD was just talking. That's kind of the way I feel. Thank you, Britt. I think you're 100% right. Simon Tupper says, what responsibility does the Murdoch-owned media have in this situation? This is sensationalism model of modern news destroying the West. Okay, we got a political statement there. What do you think about that one? Modern media destroying the West.
Well, you made an interesting point because, again, both the Sun and the New York Post, for instance, are Murdoch properties. So is Fox.
Mhm,
And so it is interesting that the three of those, well, New York Post and Fox, you would sort of expect would be on the other side just because of their political leanings, but those are the two that I was kind of surprised were uncritical. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's look at our next clip. Thanks again, what's it, Simon. Thanks again for the $5 super chat. Let's look at our next clip because so we go from Australia to HLN. So right now we're about to listen to headline news from the United States, and they're asking the question. Let's watch it. Is Amber Heard's testimony credible? What do you think? Now, HLN is left leaning. Chat, what do you predict? Do you predict they're going to be pro Amber? Do you think they're going to be pro Johnny? Joe, what's our prediction going into HLN? Pro Johnny or pro Amber?
Honestly, I think that the caption said everything on that immediate statement. So I think I have a good idea on that one.
I was looking at chat. I'm about to check out what
the
you guys
Chiron says it all.
Loretta says JD was explaining what happened. AT, I think an AH, was overselling and her acting skills are less than par. You're cold. You're cold. But I agree with you. Does that make me cold too? I agree with you. I think, yeah. I think her acting skills are up the chop. Thank you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's see what people are saying in the chat just to make sure we don't forget people. It won't be anything like the first Depo. What do people think about HLN? Are they going to be pro Amber? They're going to be leaning Amber. Some people say Johnny all the way. I got Johnny here. Who else?
I think that's their opinions. I don't know if
Amber
that's
Heard.
necessarily the prediction of HLN.
All right. Well, let's see. Amber Heard's not credible. All right. Well, let's see. Let's see what they say. Here we go.
A criminal defense lawyer, I want to read to you something that Maureen Callahan wrote in the New York Post about Heard's testimony today. She says Heard was composed and cogent. She gave numerous detailed examples of Depp's abuse scenarios in which she placed eye or ear witnesses, making her testimony all the more credible. Why tell stories that could so easily be refuted? Your thoughts?
Now, I'm stopping it right there. That's what the New York Post wrote up, right? So that's the New York Post wrote up. That, I think, this is not what I'm seeing in this trial. They're saying that the New York Post, remember, that's not HLN, it's New York Post saying she's credible. Why tell stories that can be so easily refuted, and that she has all these witnesses that verify her stories? I have not seen any of that you just said. What about you, John?
I think that there's actually a little bit of half truth there, because while on the stand she kept saying, I didn't remember, when I woke up or when I did this, or, she did give extremely detailed stories that I think can be easily refuted. It just, I would have, so the statements I don't think are wrong, but the spin on it is a little weird to me.
Yeah, it's saying Depp's abuse scenarios, which were placed in ear or earshot of ear witnesses. That's not that. I don't believe it's true, because all the witnesses, the security, the cops, the doctors, everybody says they never really they saw her abusing him. If anything, it's the opposite way around.
And anybody else that could have been a witness was either on MDMA or is dead.
Yeah. Oh, the people who are saying they support Amber, right? The people who she says would support her side. The flight attendant, the stewardess that nobody knows, the dead security guard, the dead security officer. So it's like, what the hell?
It's just it's almost like a little bit scripted.
All right, so now we're going to see what HLN says about the New York Post description of the events, because I think this description is totally off.
Well, I would ask that question in every domestic violence trial I've had. We can't really say why somebody's motivated about making stories. In this case, it seems to be, or at least Depp's team seems to be alluding to the fact that she was after fame and money. That is her motivation. But, I have to say, again, as someone who's been doing this for almost 20 years, I can tell truth from fiction. And her disposition, her form, forget the substance, which is very disturbing. Domestic violence is awful. What she is explaining and describing happened to her is terrible. But looking at her form.
Uh-oh, I got an ad. I forgot. Put my ad blocker.
Hello there, Ryan.
Here we go.
It comes across as inauthentic. And I say this, Gene, because Depp set a high bar for credibility, vulnerability, and likability. And that goes a long way with a jury. If they like you, they believe you. If you don't come across as likable, then you've got something major working against you with this jury. And ultimately, this is a he said, she said case, like Chloe brought up. These accounts are so very different. At the end of the day, I think all of what we're hearing goes to whether the statement in the op-ed was defamatory. We got to keep bringing it back to the op-ed, right? That's not the only thing that Depp has to prove in this case to prevail. He also has to prove his damages, which have been very speculative. He has to prove actual malice, which is very difficult to prove, although it may come out in the cross-examination of Amber Heard. But, this is just the beginning of the she said part, which is going to possibly fall apart on cross-examination. This is part one. It's the easy part. It's the smooth sailing part. She can say whatever she wants.
So, what do you think? HLN says, hey, she doesn't sound credible.
I was a little bit surprised by that, honestly. I do want to point to one thing that she said that, maybe a criminal defense attorney, not exactly a civil attorney. She said he has to prove damages. He does not. This is defamation per se.
Correct. Yeah.
Because she's accusing him of a crime, allegedly. So, but no, I was very much surprised that she came out as saying that she was not believable. So, good on them, I guess.
I would ask, is the chat, are you guys surprised to see that HLN is owned by the parent company that owns CNN? So they're both owned by the same umbrella
Turner
corporation.
Media.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that even this defense attorney who's on this show is like, it's just, I know BS. And what I'm seeing here is BS. So some people are saying they're a little shocked by it. Like you, John. They're surprised like you.
I'm surprised.
Let me get some super chats before they start backing up. Thank you, Alan, for the $2. Just want to see Amber reprise J-Lo's role in Enough. I didn't see that movie, but I think I know what you're talking about. What's it? Iwa. I'm sorry if I have chopped up your name. To sum it up, Polish media are in favor of JD. All right, cool. Polish media. Avanti says, did you check out TMZ's tweet about Amber Heard's bloody lip? Yeah, I saw that. They obtained the pic. JD's team didn't want it to be shown to the jury. I saw it, but I'll check it out again because I'll play it. I like to give everybody all the information, so I'll check it out. But I did see that they posted something. Ranos for $5 says, there's always some truth in the most dangerous lies. Facts. That's how narcissists get away with what they do. A little truth in all their poisonous lies. Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Sean's said, thank you for the $5, but that was great. That was a fantastic tweet. I mean, I keep saying live stream. Super chat. This is Sean's says, seen multiple accounts on Twitter saying that Amber Heard team is going to call JD to the stand. Thoughts? Would they call JD as a rebuttal or hostile witness? Do you think that's going to happen?
I think that would be a huge mistake.
Yeah, to recall him.
Yeah, to recall him. I think because how well he did on direct, I think that would be a huge mistake to re-inject that after everybody heard Amber's testimony.
Yeah, I think you're going too far here. I don't think you're going to recall him. I thought it was great. They would only be called. They would only be called in the case in chief. You can be recalled because remember they asked him after they got up, you may be recalled, so you can't talk about your testimony, so forth. So it's possible, but I think strategically it's not going to happen because you don't want him to get up and then have him tell his story again because the other side gets to have him embellish his story one more time, right? And you don't want to be on a situation where that's happening. So
Well, that's the thing is, if they call him as a hostile witness, then his own team gets to basically cross him.
I know, and the cross is going to be. It's so much easier, John, because you get to ask all those great, fantastic leading questions. So yeah, it would be a disaster. Simon Tupper says, thanks again for the $2 super chat. The speculative claim of losing 2 major roles. Yes, it's speculative in some instance, but I understand what you're talking about. Sometimes
that's not speculative. Those were inked. Those were not inked deals, but they were handshake deals at the very least, and that was what his business manager was testifying to.
Yeah, I agree. I think she coached the evidence not as strongly as it is, but still, she still came out to the same conclusion that Amber's not credible. If she's coming out to Amber's not credible, she wins anyway. And if she's really worried about the damages, like you said earlier, damages aren't even a part of the case in chief because it's not part of the liability phase, so it doesn't even matter. This is $2 from Sima Pasta. Oh, thank you. 3,700 people watching, only 462 likes. Yes, get your like game on. Boom. And this is Magnus Prime, which I love this name. Says, I'm wondering how many people who say believe all women have read To Kill a Mockingbird. Trust but verify is a much better approach. This person sounds like they know who Ronald Reagan is, because that is what Ronald Reagan would say. Trust but verify. Am I right?
Absolutely.
All right, people. So now let me grab some of the newer super chats that came in, so I don't lose you guys. All right. So HLN, they've changed their tune. First pro Johnny, now a little bit. Now it seems like they're pretty much pro Amber. All right. So now let's hit the next.
Yeah, that backwards.
Oh, say it one more time. All right. What did I say? I said
you said first pro Johnny, now pro Amber. I think.
Oh yeah, now first pro Amber, now pro Johnny. I don't want to go too crazy with this. All right, so next we are going to look at CNN. What do we think? CNN is pro Amber or pro Johnny? Let's see. Let's see. I'm not even going to ask people because I know most people know because of their political stance. We know where they should be, right? We know where we think they're going to be. So let's just watch and see. Right? Let's all be surprised together, or it'll confirm what we already believe. So here is CNN talking about Amber Heard's testimony.
Crime Network was in the courtroom yesterday and said the jury seemed to be glued to every word that Amber Heard was saying.
I was observing them taking a copious amount of notes. And I will tell you, I actually observed one of the female jurors. Now, I should tell you, was masked. So it's kind of hard to get a read on what she was looking or thinking. But she was actually nodding, very slightly, nodding during a portion of Amber Heard's testimony. I'll tell you real quick that courtroom environment felt a lot more tense than when Johnny Depp took the stand. I think that's predominantly because there are more Johnny Depp supporters in that courtroom than we've seen ever before. And as Amber Heard was testifying, you could kind of hear little comments and whispers and snickers when she was testifying. It was just a radically different environment than we've seen, but fascinating testimony to listen to.
How credible do you think she came across to the jury?
It's a great question because after she testified, I've spoken to a number of people and they believe that her testimony seemed a bit rehearsed. Maybe so. But at the end of the day, all the jury has to believe is one instance of abuse, physical, psychological, mental, any which way. And Johnny Depp would necessarily lose this case because this isn't about whether or not he committed a crime. It's all about whether or not Amber Heard was lying.
So that's the clip. They say the people don't believe him. People don't believe. People in the courtroom don't believe. They think it's inauthentic. What do you think?
I think that there are two aspects there that are sort of interesting. One is, it seems like people in the courtroom don't believe. And if you've been watching, you see the courtroom and it started to fill up with women. You see Johnny come into the trial and it's tons of cheers and applause, and Amber leaves the car and it's crickets. But the other aspect that I thought it was interesting was he made a legal opinion that all they need is one piece of anything and she wins, which I don't think is necessarily how juries' minds work. But
yeah,
it seemed like they were sort of plumbing for a way for her to win, even though public opinion clearly they have to recognize has kind of shifted the other way.
Oh yeah. Well, for CNN, this was almost like an admission of guilt, right? Because for them to actually go on air saying they are the Believe All Women channel, right? I've been watching their coverage of the Me Too movement. It's really strong on the Believe All Women. That's kind of how they got it. Most people don't remember the Morgan Freeman incident when one of their anchors said, and then, but it came to find out it was all BS, and they kind of just swept it under the rug. So they have been on it. So this admission that it doesn't seem like she's really being credible, I think it's interesting because I think you're right. I think there's two things happening at CNN. They're realizing where things are flowing because you can't kind of deny the evidence. You can deny before when there was no evidence. You kind of just say, "Hey, I'm going to stay with this my political leaning." But now that the evidence is out there, you don't want to be looking like you're so in the tank for one side that all the evidence doesn't mean anything. And I think that's kind of what they got to confront. Like, even though she's a woman, even though we're supposed to believe her, most people just don't. We're going to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Does that appropriately kind of coach what we just saw from CNN? Because it seemed like they were struggling a little bit with this.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that it was, as sort of I said before, I think that they want to be on her side, but they realize that they can't, and so they're trying to plumb something from that legal opinion that he was giving to still stand by her.
Now, with that legal opinion, his legal opinion, I do think is interesting because I've said this before too, but I've always said it in Coach Lim. My issue is this is all coming down to one key issue. I don't care what anybody else is saying. What is abuse, right? Because that is what this case was about. What two of those statements are. What is abuse? If the jury if they can see abuse as being emotional abuse, yelling at someone, if they find that to be abuse, I think Amber Heard has a chance of winning the defamation claim against Depp because they can say, okay, that's abuse. But I also think you could have a split baby in this case. And I think the split baby here would be those abuse allegations. We're not going, that who knows, 5 years together, what is abuse? We're going to just kind of forget about that. But the sexual assault title is something that we can really hang our hats on to say, we can believe, maybe a slap, maybe emotional abuse, but we don't believe sexual assault. So as to the abuse allegations, not liable, but as to the sexual assault allegation, we believe Depp and we don't believe you. What do you think? That's kind of like how I think juries like to kind of split the baby.
That's a really interesting take, and I haven't heard that anywhere else. Yeah, I think that is a way, and look, on some level, depending upon how the rest of the trial goes on closing arguments, that would be a way to try and give the jury something to hang their hat on if you don't think it's going your way. The other aspect that I think is sort of interesting in the, what is abuse is, what is reactive abuse, and, to some extent, like, let's say the genders were reversed and, it was a woman that was being beaten constantly, and at some point she slaps back after a dozen instances. Would we call that abuse? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I think Amber's doctor was trying to say. All Amber's abuse was reactive abuse. All Johnny's abuse was abuse. And
it seems like that's the other way around.
It seems like it's the other way around. I gotta introduce the man, the legend, the guy who has me watching this channel every day. All of a sudden, now you got clips, you got everything. Hogue Law, the man, the legend. What's up, Hogue? How you doing, brother?
Nate, if you know anything about me by now, you know when I do something, I go all in. So you tell me I'm going to be streaming. Suddenly, I'm hiring editors. I'm saying, all right, talk to me about how all this stuff works. And thankfully, you just went up today, Nate, because you were the one that pulls out the Voyager Star Trek ship.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
for us to talk about Star Trek, because I got people in my channel saying, you mostly talk about video games. What's with all these lawyers, and why are we talking about a defamation trial? I say, I'm glad you asked. Just so we're clear, all of these people are nerds. So
yes,
yeah, no, absolutely fantastic.
When you got a lightsaber in reaching distance from you, that's when you know you're a nerd, right?
Yes, my lightsaber's up there, so I'm less. I'm 6 feet less nerdy than you, Nate.
It's funny because I always have my daughters come and play with all my toys. I'm like, these aren't toys; these are action models. Yeah.
I thought you said this is set decoration. I'm putting together a composition.
You don't know how many times. So this is my shield, right? So this is my shield because I wanted something for the background. So my daughter has a shield because she wants to be Captain America before they gendered. It's interesting. She doesn't like the new Captain America. You know, they have Captain Britain now, the woman, because they're changing all the characters from
the What If.
From the what? No, in no spoilers, but there's a live action version of that. So I'm not saying
haven't seen any new movies. I don't even know what we're talking about.
If you haven't seen it, there is. But the fact of the matter is, my daughter, she's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be Captain America. I'm like, you go, girl. You're Captain America. You're like, I'm from America. I'm not from the UK.
I love it.
I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah, no, I heard you guys were talking about media and fun stuff here. I have an 11 o'clock call, but I wanted to pop in for like 20 minutes. If you'll have me.
Oh yeah, no, get the hell out of here, Hope.
All right, okay.
You know John is another lawyer.
we met yesterday.
Yes, we were doing objection gaming yesterday.
Hey, so we're gonna play against Saturday. We're gonna change it up a little bit. So the way we're gonna play it is that it's gonna be us versus the chat. So the chat's gonna have a poll. They're gonna answer the poll, and we're not gonna answer the objection and the thing. We're gonna just hear the question and the objection, and then we're gonna see if the judge should overrule it or sustain it. And the judge is going to be the judge is actually going to be the person who calls it. But we're going to see if it should be, sustained or objected, and then we'll see if we can beat the chat. So each one will fight the chat on. See if
Nate, I got to tell you, whenever you had this idea, it's the exact perfect combination of entertaining and educational to me. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because that's what a lot of people were saying, and it's what my wife was playing it with her friends at work. I'm like, you're playing objections at work? Like,
Nate, I want to talk to you offline. We're gonna hire an app developer. We're gonna make some money off of this. We're gonna do some objections. We're gonna teach some people.
Yeah, we're going
to talk about it. John wants
I love it. I love it. All right. So just so you know, we've heard HLN, CNN, everybody. So everything we've heard, would it be, John, a fair characterization of what we heard, would you say it would be that everybody's seeming to not believe Amber Heard's story in the press, from the news coverage that we've seen already?
I would say that it's the press recognizing that the public doesn't believe her.
A thumb in the wind there, a little bit.
A little bit. Let
me take down some of these super chats. One more reason not to trust mainstream media lies. Eleanor, thank you so much, Eleanor. Angry Roach, my brother. Depp slapped me with a full handful of if Depp slapped me with a handful of rings, headbutted me and broke my nose, dragged me by my hair, but it didn't hurt. Just stared at the dirty floor. Is this DV or an episode of Baki the Grappler? I don't know. Listen, she had no injuries. Either she's the cheerleader from Heroes or something. Go ahead, Joe.
My first question on everything is going to be, so you said all of this. Did he seek medical attention afterwards? No?
Yes. No.
Okay.
She didn't.
And you just go episode by episode because these are horrific episodes that would obviously cause physical injuries, and you never sought medical attention at all, because that was the thing that drove me nuts doing the med mal stuff. Is if they had medical records, they would have introduced it with her.
It's obvious. But it's wild because I think we were talking about that the other day. The reason why her story seems just so crazy is because that there's so many events and it's so horrible, and there's so many opportunities for scarring, for violence, like you're saying, bashed over the head, punched in the mouth, the bottle incident, everything. And then you're just like, but no one, even doctors, nurses, police officers, no one sees a visible physical injury. It's just like
the very fact that you never sought medical attention at all for any of this.
Yeah. It's just, again, it's doesn't seem credible. But with that said, let's get back, because Hogan's only got a couple more times. I am definitely got super chats, but
got to practice law occasionally these days.
Let's get back to the media, because that's Hogan's thing. I want to see what he sucks about these.
Yeah, I love this stuff. I love it.
If Amber Heard runs out of time and can't cross, call who? If Amber Heard runs out of time and can't cross,
she's used all her time. You're in your rebuttal. Who do you call it's not going to get crossed?
I don't know. I don't know.
Bring Johnny back.
All right. So our next media outlet who's going to give us a little understanding about what's going on in the trial is Fox News. So we've always asked the question before. What do you think? Do you think they're going to be Team Amber or they're going to be Team Johnny?
Fox News.
Fox News.
I think they're going to be leaning Amber.
Leaning Amber.
Opinion or news?
This is opinion.
Depending on who it is, I can't call that.
John will not commit. He's
John
in full lawyer mode.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Damn you, John! I can't.
There's
get
no
you.
liability for being wrong, John. I mean, Nate will kick you off the channel. But
yes, you're banished forever.
My guess is because you're picking the clips that we're going to be surprised in their Amber side, but.
See, look, we could tell from the title.
Let's look at the title. Tape. The tape did not look good for Amber Heard's case, criminal defense lawyer says. So there it is. This is the title. So here we go. Let's look at whether Fox News, how they feel about Amber Heard's testimony.
Bob, I got to say, that felt very rehearsed to me, which any witness can do before they get on the stand. You want to be sure about your testimony and you go over things, but it didn't ring true to me. I'm not a juror. What about you?
Shannon, the thing that was interesting to me about this is that you have to take her testimony in the context of two very important pieces of evidence that Johnny Depp brought out. And the first is that audio recording that Amber Heard was illegally in their state recording of Johnny Depp, wherein she's saying to him, "Oh, you always want to walk away. I didn't hit you. I didn't deck you. You're calling it a punch." And she's talking about domestic violence and basically making fun of him because not only she on that tape, but other witnesses said he would just withdraw and walk away. So that tape did not have a good look for her, especially when you're claiming things happened to you where you were being smacked down, where you're being sexually violated, where he was probing her for what he believed was cocaine in her private parts. So none of it would seem to make sense from a common sense standpoint that she would be abusing and laughing at him because when they got into an argument, he wanted to walk away from that argument. Couple that with the psychiatric testimony of Dr. Shannon Curry that was brought out because Amber Heard put mental health as part of her claim of damages. And literally, I couldn't help but think that when Amber was testifying, and look, the jury's going to assess the credibility here, but the manner in which she was testifying ticked off exactly what the Johnny Depp's doctor said amounted to histrionic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. I want to make a caveat. The fact that you have those illnesses does not mean that you are a domestic abuser, but she talked about over-magnification of symptoms, where they have a lot of flowery language but no substance to it, where they need to be the center of attention. And I couldn't help but think by looking at it that the jurors were sitting there saying, listening to her testify, wow, that's exactly the manner in which Dr. Curry, who did independent testing of her, called an MMPI, we know this in the psychiatric world, where not only did it say that she was not suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, what was also damning was those independent tests.
Okay, so we've gotten most of that clip in. What do you guys think?
One, I think you're brave for playing long sequences of clips, Nate. I love it. Two, I think LawTube in general could go and do that, and perhaps a little bit more personably. Three, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's right? Like the best thing that I keep reflecting on from Depp's side of the case are the two tapes at the end of the redirect, which is the "You're such a baby." Yeah, I threw pots and pans, and the lawyers made me file this. And then go tell the world, Johnny. Go tell the world, Johnny. I hear every day when I sit down to watch this. I do. I mean, I'm being serious here. That is such a ridiculous tape to have out there for her side.
Yeah,
which is like it's the theme. I mean, like they have to hit on that in closing hard. But yeah, Dr. Curry is the one that set the framework, right? Dr. Curry saying, here's what this kind of person does. They exaggerate. They use flowery language. They talk about magical realities. And then Amber rolls in. It's like, my God. Like, that is a very specific way to talk and think and exaggerate. I mean, bare minimum, even if you believe Amber Heard, God love you. I don't think anyone can sit there and say that that's not exaggerated, that that's not heightened, that that's not dramatic. And so, yeah, I think he got it right. I think he got it right. I mean, he should have breathed somewhere in the second paragraph that he was on, but I think he got it
right. Kurt, welcome to the channel, baby. What's going on, Kurt?
Hey, good morning.
Good
Kurt,
morning.
just so
good
you know, I
morning.
have to go in like 5 to 10 minutes. It's not because you arrived.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate that.
Kurt, so well, everybody knows Kurt because Kurt's on the channel all the time. But so just to let you know what we're doing, we're watching coverage of the media coverage of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation at the break, and seeing how all the media is handling. But at this time, just so everybody knows, it's almost been unanimous that the media is leaning toward the Johnny Depp side and rejecting the Amber Heard side.
What's MSNBC saying? That's what I want to know.
We got NBC, MSNBC is kind of on the fence, but CNN is kind of leaning toward Johnny Depp.
Really?
Fox News is leaning toward Johnny Depp. HLN is leaning toward Johnny Depp, and the liberal Australia media is leaning toward Johnny Depp. So everything we
They don't like their country being named so much in these stories. Well, now, so has this been primarily video media, Nate?
Yeah, we're just looking at video media. We have looked at. Oh, go ahead.
Yep, we did it twice. The interesting thing to me, of course, is right. Like I've been looking at headlines on my side during my streams, and I've definitely been able to find, at least in print media, plenty of things that are ridiculously pro Amber Heard. So I'd be interested in if there is a bifurcation in audience or education or whatever. I don't know. That separates between video and the video medium versus the written medium, because that would be really interesting. And now I'm going to call another Hangouts and Headlines because I want to talk about that. But it's really fascinating to me.
Well, the one thing we did see some negative print media in one of the videos, because they were talking about the New York Post,
the New York Post,
and how the New York Post categorized the testimony of
regular visitor to my channel.
That Amber's extremely credible, and on top of that, not only is she credible, but she is what did they say? That there's some evidence that also supports her claims. So
we got the Post, which is owned by the same company that owns the Sun. We've got the Sun, and then in England, in the UK, we've got a concentration, it would seem, of outlets that are very much on Amber Heard's side, or I think probably better described as against Johnny Depp's side.
Well, that's why it was sort of interesting, because I guess we lost Nate for a second, but that's why it was sort of interesting that Fox still came out kind of on the Depp side, because it's all the same parent company. They're all News Corp properties.
Yeah. That's what Hogue was. We were on your stream like what's it, over the weekend, Saturday, right?
Yes,
and he went through it. He mentioned like News Corp and showed all the people that they own, and it seems like all the News Corp corporations are pretty much anti JD, and I think they're doing that because obvious he sued the corporation, so and
I'd be curious if somebody like Fox goes out there and has like that video clip that you showed us, but if we look at all the volume, they're just at bare minimum they're sitting the fence, and they got
that's what's sort of interesting is that these are all commentators, and it was interesting that of these clips, almost all of them are criminal defense attorneys.
Not the civil guys. That's because, but to be fair though,
go get the
a lot like
book of business.
Right. Well, the reason why I think this is happening is because in criminal, for instance, when I was at ADA, like I remember I was there on the job for like maybe 6 months, and we went to a bar event, bar downtown. I forget what it's called. Whatever. But it's a bar event. It was an event for lawyers, and all my colleagues from my school, they were there too. So talking about their new jobs and everything. And I remember there was a guy who was making something like $250,000 a year, and he was proud to say he's only been in a courtroom once or twice. He makes all this money from litigation. He never sees court. But then as an ADA, they asked me how many times have I been in court and how many cases I've stood on. I'm like, hell, in the first 6 months, I've stood on thousands of cases, right? Because my God, for arraignments alone, I have sometimes 200 to 300 cases that day that you got to stand on, and I got to talk to the judge, I got to argue with counsel, I get to question witnesses, and so you're talking about maybe 1,000 cases in 1 year and I'm in court. Like there were times where I was in court for a straight week, either in night court or in the day, and just thousands of defendants. And because the way it works here in the Bronx is that you have one DA who goes to court, and that DA calls all the cases, and then like they call them status hearings. So not only you're talking about talking in front of judges, we do that all the time. So when you have a trial in this instance, it's really hard to really find just a straight civil attorney who's done this many trials. You know what I'm saying? Unless civil.
And I totally get that, but why wouldn't you want a former prosecutor or somebody? Because this is a prosecution of a listed set of elements.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about it from that issue. Let me take care of somebody super chat. Potentially criminal. What's going on, brother? You're here to watch us and watch the madness, huh?
Yeah. Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
We're doing all right. Let me knock down some of these super chats so don't get backed up on me. What do they need? Just one instance for? Why do they need just one instance for her to win? Now, this question is asking about why are we saying that Amber just needs to show one instance of abuse to win? The reason why is that Johnny Depp's claim is that over the entire time of their relationship, he never abused her. And her claim, and so that's his claims, that the statements that she said was she's a victim of domestic abuse and that she spoke about abuse is that, and implying that he was the abuser, he never abused her. So that's why if she shows one instance where he did abuse her, that makes those statements as a factual matter true.
Well,
you agree with that?
Just to be completely fair, he said he never hit her. He never hit a woman. Not that he never abused her.
Well, he's saying that. All right, she's saying.
I mean, I know that's his claim in some part, but that's not his testimony. I don't think.
Oh yeah, no, about that.
I mean, like Kurt. So I mean, Nate's right in terms of the legalities here, right? So the statement we're looking at is, "I'm a victim of domestic abuse," give or take, which we're reading by implication, and they say Johnny Depp abused me, and then Johnny Depp's entire case has to rest on the element of that statement is false. So he can't have abused her at all.
Yes, but then there's a reasonable question as to what the scope of domestic abuse is, as we've talked about. And so if he's saying, I never hit her, I never hit a woman, and he's trying to constrain domestic abuse to the purely physical, then he's also negating the legal element of the claim. So, I mean, I'm making a very technical point, so I can stop talking.
Well, the only reason why I disagree with that is because his own expert said domestic violence encompasses both physical and emotional and psychological. Like she listed a whole bunch of stuff. So if I'm Amber Heard's team, I'm saying that physical abuse thing, he's not even saying that, right? His expert is saying it's more than that. So I think that's something.
There's language from Johnny Depp that also goes the other way too, as I pointed out, where Johnny Depp is talking about the abuse of his own mother. So there's language going the other way there too. So I mean,
no, I thought that was a bad answer for him. I remember thinking it.
Yeah, that even the emotional abuse she was given was even worse than the physical abuse. So so I think right now he's put himself into a box where one instance it's probably could be a loser. But again, I think the losers on those two claims of abuse. The sexual abuse came. I still think he can win. I still think.
Sexual violence.
Yeah, I think that's the winner.
Because so far we've got the bottle thing with a perfectly intact bottle with no blood on it of any kind. Yeah, that's totally persuasive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The end of this says, do they need one instance of her abusing JD for him to win? Also, no, because
not the case.
The claim is just so we understand and we're very clear. The claim here in this trial is, did Johnny Depp ever abuse Amber Heard in their relationship? That's what he's saying. And Amber's actually claim is Johnny Depp is lying about her saying that she was abused. So she's saying he abused me. Johnny Depp is saying she's a liar, and so she's countersuing him, saying that by him saying that defamed her, which is, I know, a lot going on. So
give or take. Hey, I do have to get on my 11 o'clock and prep for it. Thank you for having me.
Are you bringing in friends?
Am I bringing my friends to my call?
Oh, I thought
he's got a phone.
No. I gotta go.
Real work.
He's got to go do
actual job.
Yeah, he's got to do real work.
Can I come to the actual?
No, I'm not doing a stream right now. I'm going to go practice
honest.
some law.
He's got to go make an honest living.
See y'all.
Let me take care of a couple of these quick super chats.
I only popped in here for a second.
All right, hold on. Let me just take care of these 4 $2 super chats and then I'm opening it back up. I think SA is the reason. I think SA is why he got canceled, not the verbal. Agreed. Love the whole legal crew. Thank you for the insight. Thank you so much, Chris. Warren says objection. nonsensical rambling. Thank you for your objection. Law and Number, the brother from YouTube, LawTube, what's up? John, with the best hedging lawyerly analysis ever. John stepped away, but yes, that's true. And Eric, Nate and Eric, don't forget to check out Nate and Eric for the win. Yes, a new channel with Eric Hunley. A link, I'm gonna just put a link in the description. We review viral videos. And the last super chat we're gonna look at right now is the Amica Cream is good stuff, I guess. Go ahead, Joe. You have the floor. Sorry about that, brother.
That's okay. I wish Kurt didn't back off of what he said initially. I totally agree with him. I don't think this whole I think this emotional abuse stuff is a red herring. Because the whole key here is, why is he being canceled? Why does everyone hate him? Why is everyone all over him and destroying him? Because everyone understood her article be talking about physical and or sexual abuse.
I agree.
If there was zero implication of sexual abuse or physical abuse, he doesn't get canceled. He doesn't live to any of this crap. So she can't.
I agree.
The same way I don't think she could hide and pretend and say I didn't mention Johnny. I wasn't talking about Johnny. She also can't hide behind the psychological field's broad interpretation of abuse to say, well, this is also abuse and could be worse than physical or sexual abuse. And even his sister said it or whatever. No, look, he said it. He said that the worst abuse he got from his mother was not the hitting on his head, but it was the fact that it was the daily psychological abuse. But no one understood her article that way. And that's the whole point. The whole point is that he was canceled. He suffered these damages because she intentionally led the public to believe that there was physical and sexual abuse. That was part of what she was doing. So even if they could show that he spent every day making her feel miserable about herself, which I'm sure he didn't, because this guy bent over backwards to try and make her. But even if they could show that, I don't think that would help her succeed in defeating this case, because everyone and the public, no matter what the psychological field says about it, that's not the people that the impact it had on them is not the problem. It's the impact it had on the public at large, and the public at large read that article that she adopted as physical and sexual abuse.
Yeah, so you know what, I love what you're saying, because I think you're right. I think colloquially, right? If we're in the street, you read that article as that, but that's not we're not in the street. I think we're in a courtroom, and definitions do matter, and what things mean matter. And I think the argument that you're making about the reasonable person standard is exactly right. But I think that's a legal argument, and I think the lawyers for that team have to kind of figure that out, how to make that legal argument.
You froze.
The way you've done it, because I it's interesting, because I 100% wholeheartedly agree. Huh?
No, you froze totally for a second. You're back.
Sorry.
Just froze for a good solid second.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my internet thing could go somewhere. But what I'm saying is that I definitely agree. I think the reasonable person standard, yes, but I think in law, I think these lawyers should be arguing the technical, and that's why we've always been saying since the beginning, when we're talking about the technical piece of the law, Amber Heard has the better argument, and I think when you talk about the factual piece of what's going on here, Johnny Depp's team have the better argument.
You're muted, John. John, you're muted.
John, you're muted. Go ahead. Oh, I think he hit the camera instead of the mute button.
Oh dear.
All right, so let's look at. All right, so now we've looked at a whole bunch of different shows showing their things. So this next one is from across the pond. It's from a show called This Morning. Let me see exactly where they're from again. This Morning is from I think this is from Britain. Let me make sure though, because I was trying to get like since we have like a lot of people from different countries, I was trying to get different shows. I don't even know where this thing is. Oh yeah, from the UK. All right, so this is a UK broadcast. They're talking about the Johnny Depp. So this is across the pond. This is another foreign news source. So let's see how they are describing the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Now, the reason why I picked Britain and the UK is because we had the Sun trial there. So they've already had like a heavy dose of this, and Johnny Depp lost the Sun trial. So that was like big news over there. So let's see how now they're covering it and whether they believe Amber or not. So let me go to this so we can see it and get you guys' take on it. The show is called This Morning. Oops, the wrong one. Here we go.
And that's what broke my heart. He was telling me we're gonna.
They
we're
blur
gonna
it because
conduct
they
a
have some
cavity
rule that
search.
they can't. They got to blur it. So whatever.
What?
It got into a very explicit and difficult detail, and that was not only the only difficult reminiscence. You'll recall that Johnny Depp owned a yacht that ultimately he sold to J.K. Rowling. Amber describes arguments aboard that yacht that devolved into physical violence. And with each description, either she's the greatest actress in the world, or she is telling her version of events. And one thing that the three of us discussed last week is maybe both testimonies are true in that Johnny Depp admitted to having these fueled blackouts with drugs and alcohol.
God.
Possible during these blackout periods that Johnny doesn't remember the things that Amber describes took place. I think that's something that Amber may try to advance. She will speak again today, scheduled, I suspect, the entire day on the stand. Johnny Depp's attorneys, I think very specifically, had a woman on their team occasionally object to her testimony, but more or less, Amber Heard was able to speak what we'll describe as her truth. She'll continue to do that today.
Can you pause for 1 second?
Hold on, just got like 2 more seconds.
It's unpleasant and I think triggering for many to unpack. And I tell you, prior to Amber's testimony, I think some would suggest, public opinion was quote unquote on Johnny's side. As people view Amber's testimony, will that change? That's
all right. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So this is what outlet? What outlet was that?
This is The Morning from Britain, from the UK.
Can you just show the screen for a second again? That's why I wanted to pause. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he reporting live from San Diego?
They have American lawyers. It's a live stream. See, it's a live stream. So they're using him as their expert witness. So that's why he's live from San Diego.
I'm just saying. Yeah, but it's like they make like a big deal, like he's there on the scene in San Diego.
So what do you think? What do you think about the coverage?
That was horrendous.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's like who watched that and was like, wow, this is really compelling. I think like 5% of people really watched that and said, the greatest actress of all time.
Even on day one, where I was cutting her some slack, I didn't think she was compelling.
No, but he said. Go ahead.
I was going to say, part of this is like if you're trying to get on shows like that, they aren't going to have somebody come on. Like when I say like, oh my God, she's a complete fraud. I don't know how, you'd have to be deaf, blind, and dumb to believe her at this point. They want somebody who's going to try to give this like, well, they want to, as much like they want you to be like Philip DeFranco, give like she might actually have an argument here. I mean, they aren't just going to have somebody come on there saying she's a lying sack of garbage.
That's true.
In his defense. Although he may believe it too. You never know.
Well, I think he also I think he also kind of played his hand a little bit in the sense of, remember what he said specifically, I'm not going to say it's truth. I'm going to say she said her truth. And I think that kind of led you to believe that if he was really in the tank for Amber, he would say she's telling her story or something like that. But I think he made that distinction because even at some points he realizes that not everybody's buying the story. And I think he wanted to make the distinction that this is what she says is true, but it may not actually be the truth. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I felt from that recording, from what he was saying. Let me take care of some super chats. Let's answer some questions because the people have questions. Do you think the jury is looking for more info behind closed doors for Amber and Johnny? Do you think the jury is going to be out here searching the interwebs for stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
That don't look at anything charge never works.
The Lost Angel says if JD loses, does that mean he pays her $100 million? Because she's countersuing him. How does all that work? I don't understand the whole suing stuff. Anyone want to fill that?
Yeah, so
sure,
you go, John.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I mean, no, she has to prove her case, and I don't know exactly I don't remember exactly what her charges are. But she would have to prove her side of the case. So there's going to be a separate verdict sheet to see if the countersuit, whatever she's alleging, is actually fulfilled. And I don't remember specifically what counts she's charging on.
I think it was
but
defamation. It was defamation that by him saying that she's lying, that she's
defamatory.
That was defamatory.
It's litigation privilege.
I think it was outside litigation.
Yeah, it was outside. It was when he was outside promoting and saying she's lying. I'm a sewer. So that's what she's suing for. He's not suing her for what she's saying inside. He's suing her for she's suing him for what he's saying. Him saying that the charges aren't true.
Yeah, but how in God's name is she going to prove that he's lying? Because it's the same problem of proving a negative. You know, if in his mind he genuinely believed that she was lying, they'd have to disprove that.
Here comes the DOA.
It would be helpful if she had some evidence the event actually occurred, and the officers who were there are like, not so much. That would be helpful.
But for her to win, that's where she just has to prove it once. Yes, he abused me once, and then she wins because therefore she's not lying.
Go ahead, Joe.
She also has to prove damages, which she's going to have a much harder time doing.
Yeah, the damages, yes, but I mean, she's got to get to the part of just establishing I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying. Okay, here's the thing, though. First of all, his defamation would be defamation per quad, not defamation
per se.
His is per se.
His is per se.
If he defamed her, so what did he basically?
Oh yes.
Oh, you're saying her? All right, yeah.
Her claim is defamation per quad.
Her claim is defamation per quad, which means that now she needs to establish damages, and otherwise she ultimately loses on the claim altogether. If she cannot establish damages, defamation per se, this damage is assumed. In defamation per quad, that's not the case. So she needs to show damages. Just because he's going around saying it's not true, I'm going to sue you. Even if it is true, she needs to prove that she sustained damages as a result. Otherwise, she loses the case as a matter of law, I'm saying. And
I agree.
So that being the case, how is she going to show that she suffered any damages from this? Like, what impact could that possibly have had on her? Look, she's still presenting her defense / claims, but I don't see. I mean, this is a woman who was insulated by the media for the last, basically until today, until this trial started. So it's hard to understand where her damages resulted.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, and that's where I think she's going to have a tough time. But she still has to clear the first hurdle of proving that Johnny actually did something to her.
That's true.
But
right?
yeah, I agree. I don't know where she's going to be able to say that because she got a job. She got a big hit movie. I mean, I don't know if you call Aquaman a hit, but she got work. Her career kept kind of thudding along on life support like it was before. It's not like Johnny where she completely just disappeared out of Hollywood. But I'm not sure what she'd be able to argue there. But you got to get to the first part. Got to clear the first hurdle.
Isn't that part of the issue though as well? Is that her, sort of a not quite rising star only got extinguished once this trial started and she started speaking.
Yes. Yeah. So
I got to disagree with you on the damages piece because I think her claim of damages is going to be a mirror image of Johnny's claims of damages. Right. I was in Aquaman too. Right. They got a petition with 3.4 million signatures saying kick me off the movie. Right. I haven't been getting those phone calls. The same thing that happened to Johnny for my truthful statements is happening to me. So I think she's going to try to play his role, and she's going to say, well, if he's got damages, then my damages are the same because we're doing the same thing and we got the same issues on both sides.
No,
can you pull up the counterclaims, because I'm curious if you're alleging defamation, that is one of the few causes of action you have to plead with specificity. So she would have to tie in the specific statements that he made, which were defamatory. So I'm wondering which statements he made, because then you would need to track in time the resulting damage that comes from the dates of those statements, not that at some point her career took a dip.
Well, let me do this. Let's go back because I don't want to go too far off on a sidetrack because we have a couple more videos we want to watch.
Oh yeah, that's sorry. Yeah, that's true.
So let me answer a couple more of these super chats to knock these down, and then we'll go back to seeing the video, watching the videos to see how the media is covering. Because I think we still have Joe Rogan, we got Fox News, we got Good Morning America to look at, and we have MSNBC. So I think all those are going to be interesting to say the least, because we've looked at Australia, so we've looked at a lot. So this is Grimmy Pace says, it's a Jeremy Pace, So it's am I saying it right? Jeremy Pace. I think I'm missing this up.
Well, I think it's Jeremy. I think
Jeremy.
I think it's a British spelling of Jeremy.
British spelling of it. Even though Jeremy's been around for a long, I call him Pace, but I usually don't read the name. Sorry about that, Jeremy. Why did Amber Heard turn around to talk to JD after he slapped her? If he slapped her, she would not need to turn around. So if he slapped her, I understand what he's saying, because she said he slapped me, and then I turned back around to him and said, well, you just slapped me. So yeah, that I understand, but I don't know. I don't want to get too hypersensitive or try to really read in between the lines, because I just think her story on its face, it's bad enough where if you start trying to nitpick it, you kind of have the opposite effect of making it seem more credible, right? Because they'll be like, oh, you're nitpicking everything, where you can just say, like, if you look at the story on his face, it just doesn't seem as credible as I think she's trying to make it out to seem. Jessica says, hello, thanks for your interesting commentary. Does Amber Heard have to also prove that she lost $100 million in her counterclaim? Yes, as we were just arguing about. Yes, she's going to have to prove that. Carol for $10 says she was supposed to stripped naked, yet no medical people mention of injuries. This was after Carol's talking about after the incident in Australia where she said she was stripped. Johnny's fingers cut off. She says all this stuff happens. He strips her naked, and the doctors and security person come in. We hear the audio, and nobody's talking about her injuries or the fact that she's naked. Everybody, so that's what that's what this is about. They were like, if she's naked like she said she was, then why isn't anybody mentioning it on the audio? Carol says, Britt Cormier says, remember Hogue, which is just left. I didn't punch you. I hit you. I don't remember the position of my hand, but it was not a punch. That cracks me up every time I hear it. That's true, Britt. Carol for $20 says, look at all the behavior analysis on YouTube, and all says Amber is lying big time. That is so true. Every behavioral panelist on YouTube says Amber Heard is full of lies. She checks every box, but it's not a science. It is something we can do. Jeremy says again, would be happy that Amber opened the door to pass DV allegations. If you were JD's legal team, I would be happy. I would be extremely happy, but I don't think we have that as of yet. I think they're going to try. I think it's really going to depend on what happens on direct. The UK still doesn't believe AH. That's great. And the last super chat before we go back to the video is it beneficial to your case to not turn in evidence, i.e. Amber's phone records? Remember, because they were looking for the evidence of when she took the pictures, because that evidence would be damning to your case. So I think potentially criminal. I think you've dealt with this probably more than us. Is that what happens if the other side doesn't turn over evidence?
Well, I mean, in the civil context, they want everything, and if they demand you need to provide us X, Y, and Z, you've got to provide a great excuse, reason why you don't have to, some sort of privilege or some sort of other legal protection. Otherwise, if you try to withhold evidence, and I think Amber did that at some point based on what Alita said, you can get sanctioned by the court, which means you can be banned from introducing other types of evidence. You get punished sometimes by fines. Sometimes if it's bad enough, the court will say, well, your case is dismissed. You lose your claim. Now, obviously in the criminal setting, there's a whole big issue of, if I'm on the defense, I don't have to disclose anything. If my guy, happens to show me on a cell phone video of him committing the crime, I don't have to tell anybody about that. But the prosecutor, they have to give me everything they have, either inculpatory or exculpatory. But in the civil context, no. Just like there's no Fifth Amendment right really in a civil trial, you've got to give everything up. If the other side asks for it, you have to give it all up.
Oh yeah. Let me thank you for that explanation, and thank you for this super chat, hefty. So we are now getting back to the video. So now next up, after we've done the morning, we have Good Morning America. So here we're going to see their legal analysis of what we've seen so far in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So let's check it out. Here we go. Boop.
Choosing to or not to come forward.
And thank you, TJ Holmes, for bringing
Yes.
that very important point up. We're going to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. We heard her on the stand. How important her testimony?
It's critical. And when you talk about domestic abuse, remember, he's saying he's a victim of domestic abuse. Up to this point in the case, he has testified. He has said he never hit a woman in his entire life. He says he was the victim here. Now we hear from Amber Heard on the witness stand, who says not only was she a victim of domestic abuse, but she was a victim multiple times. Remember, as a legal matter, if these jurors believe even one instance of domestic abuse, it doesn't have to believe all of them, then I don't see how he possibly wins the case. So it's a critical moment.
And she spoke about his alleged drug and alcohol abuse in other incidents, and you say that's relevant.
It's incredibly important because if the jurors believe that he was so drunk or so high on drugs that maybe he doesn't remember, that could provide an answer for why does he think he didn't do it? And yet her testimony may seem credible. And the jurors could say, well, you know what? He was so drugged out. He was so drunk all the time. Maybe that provides an explanation. It also sort of sullies him up, right? There's a lot of testimony about really bad behavior by Johnny Depp. And that's not going to help him either in the guilt phase or if in somehow he wins this case in terms of damages. So the drug and alcohol, very relevant for both those reasons.
You set the bar pretty high. They said he only has to convince they only have to convince the jurors of one incident. So can Johnny Depp win this case?
It's a hard case to win. As a legal matter, and she made this point on the witness stand, she's like, I'm being sued here. She's the defendant here. It's not two people. I mean, she is countersuing him, but in the context of this lawsuit, she is the defendant here. So he has to prove that it's not true. And remember, as TJ pointed out, she didn't mention him by name in the op-ed piece. That makes it another thing that makes this a very difficult case for Johnny Depp to win.
All right. What do we think about the legal analysis?
It's not bad.
Dan
I
Abrams.
like it.
Do we agree?
It's a reasoned opinion.
Yes. Aside from his business ventures that I've had to deal with, yes, I agree.
Joe, you were the one that said you had the biggest issue with the whole one incident of abuse wins the case for Johnny. We've heard that twice now from two different attorneys.
Okay, so to be clear, when I came in here, I said that for the emotional and psychological abuse, I don't think gets her a win. If indeed the jury were to believe that he came and wailed on her in any of these incidents, yeah, I think he loses. I agree with. I don't think that this legal opinion was tightly was. I think this was more neutral than the other stuff we've seen, because I think he's saying, look, this is the reality of the situation, and I think that we all need to deal with the reality of the situation. A lot of us all feel sympathy for Johnny and say that we feel as if he's been maligned, but the reality is, even if it's only one time that he actually just sort of slapped her in a way that was not playful, that case she's technically telling the truth that she was abused. Now, as far as whether or not there's a sexual abuse element, they have to reach that yardstick based on the headline that she may have adopted. Well, in that case, that makes it much easier for Johnny to win. I don't know if that lawyer who's providing the analysis was considering the concept of that headline being adopted by her, and that she might have to establish not just a physical abuse, but a sexual abuse.
We don't have that in evidence yet, so it's fair not to consider it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not this, right. Here we're doing a deep dive legal analysis, so we have time to sort of analyze what is probably going to be argued between the lawyers and what could happen. He's trying to provide a synopsis in 90 seconds or less as to like where everything is holding. And that's why he's going to present a boxed little perspective. And that box is based on current legal standing of their respective claims. And just laying out this is what she needs in order to win and why it's so tough. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that piece really very much at all. I thought that was pretty I thought that was pretty
Pretty fair.
even-handed. It was pretty fair, especially if he's in a position where they're like, "Hey, try to make this pro Amber," which is very possible that they did because we see how the media is leaning on this. So if they said, "Give us something that's pro Amber," and that's what he came out with, that's as fair as you can possibly get. So, yeah, I don't have any problems with that report at all.
Well, now we move from the sphere of news because we saw most of the news organizations. So we have one neutral. Most of the other ones are leaning toward Johnny. Now we have the podcasters. So we got Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, let's see what he says about Amber Heard's testimony. This hopefully this will be good.
Does he consult with his wife who's a doctor?
Wait, his wife is a doctor?
You're so
Yes.
cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He says it all the time.
I
like
know,
a
that's
doctor.
why that's
I'm
why I
a
meant
doctor.
that's why.
Yeah, I'm just joking. No, I'm joking. I like when he keeps saying it. Here we go.
He on my pubic bone. He said he was punching me. I just saw his arm. I could feel his arm moving, and it looked like he was punching me.
So, I'm just gonna. You're allowed to do this in public discourse. You're allowed to assess whether you think somebody's being genuine or not. She ain't winning no Academy Awards. Maybe the fact she's a bad actress makes this more convincing. I don't know. But when very difficult to watch this and think that she is wildly convincing. According to the Daily Wire, she testified, quote, "I don't remember the exact sequence of things. I wish I did. When he shoved me, I went skidding across these floors. I just slid, screeching my skin against this beautiful wood floor."
Uh-oh. I forgot. I got the ad. I gotta get an ad.
Gotta get an ad blocker, man.
I do, but I turn it off all the
Weird
time.
way to describe being abused. She said she took 2 sleeping pills when she woke up. Depp had clearly not had any food, nor had he slept. Heard estimated Depp had taken 8 to 10 MDMA pills. The actor allegedly called Heard names such as and fat before attacking her. She said, "I didn't know if the bottle he had inside me was broken. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel anything." Depp also allegedly threatened her with a broken bottle. She says that my nightgown came completely off. It was ripped off of me. I was naked, slipping around on the tile. Depp was allegedly screaming that Heard had ruined his life. "I'm looking in his eyes. I don't see him anymore," she said. "It wasn't him. It was black. I've never been so scared in my life. I was trying to get through to Johnny, and I couldn't see him at all." Now, again, it's either believe her or you don't. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I do not believe her. I do not find her to be a believable witness. I don't find her to be a believable human. Johnny Depp seems to be exactly like what he is, a person with a serious drug issue who's been thoroughly destroyed by Hollywood. And she seems like a sociopathic liar.
That is Ben Shapiro. What do you think about this take?
Also pretty reasonable.
I'm surprised I don't disagree with him about something for once.
Welcome to the Ben Shapiro fan club.
Uh-oh.
Well, oh no, I went out.
So because I know Ben is right leaning. Let me move to the middle. Let's look at some. This is Joe Rogan's. This is what Joe Rogan feels about it. So now we got Joe Rogan as our last clip. Let's see what Joe Rogan feels about this, and then we can talk about Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and see what's up. So here is Joe Rogan's opinion on what's going on.
It's a cautionary tale. It's a cautionary tale about believing in bullshit, like forming a narrative in your head, like we're rebels together. We're gonna, that's what I felt like about Anthony Bourdain and his relationship too, that crazy woman. But and then you're seeing it all play out in court, like you're seeing all the crazy come out. Do you know the fact that, like he talked about her shitting in his bed?
Yeah,
great.
So hot.
Do you think? It's a real problem. Hard to forget.
It's a real problem.
That's hard to forget. But she said that she used this specific makeup to cover all of her bruises that Johnny gave her, which is not true. And,
Specific makeup.
And that specific. Well, the problem is it was a specific makeup. And it turns out that the company didn't even make that makeup at the time that she was claiming she was using it.
Oh wow. That's crazy. Really?
Yeah, but that's what happens with people like that.
Yeah.
People that are just completely manipulative and full of shit like that.
Mhm.
Doug Stanhope knows her. Stanhope's buddies with Johnny Depp, and he wrote something about, like, I forget what he wrote. I think he wrote like a little essay.
I'm sure
about
Doug Stanhope
how
was
shitty she is,
impartial.
and she threatened to sue him, and I think he had to wind up taking it down. I hope I'm not fucking that up.
All right. So before we lose too much, we know where Joe Rogan's at, right? She's a psychopath, maniac. Tell us how you really feel, Joe. Tell us how you really feel. What do you think about his take? But see, it's interesting because I think anybody who's outside of that courtroom who is looking at all the evidence pop out, it's like you automatic like the Amica cream. We know all the BS, but the jurors don't know that. So it's fascinating how just this little extra information could change people's minds. So what do you guys think about Joe and Ben? What do you guys think about their takes?
I think Joe Rogan was being unduly kind to Amber in that description of her.
That's crazy. That's crazy. What about you, Kurt?
No, I thought Ben Shapiro's argument made a lot of sense. It's like, we can assess credibility on the stand, and not winning Academy Awards. It's like, yep, that seems pretty right on point too. And Joe Rogan, yeah, I found it it's pretty good too. It's interesting that he says, he knows someone who knows her, and people like that. So it's just, I think it's all pretty solid stuff.
But it's interesting because I would say from the media that we've looked at today, especially the video media, it's shocking that there are so many people, in the media who are now kind of shifting that storyline, because the storyline was totally Johnny Depp is an abuser and he should be canceled. But he is essentially uncanceled himself at this point in time, because all the clips that we've been watching from the beginning have shown that, hey, this is now a different type of animal. Before it was kind of like, he's just a bad guy. Nobody should even trust him. Now it's kind of like, there's something. It's a lot more complicated than we believed.
And here's the great part for Johnny. If you think about this for a second, we're all sitting here trying to put ourselves in the seat of the jury and wondering what they're thinking, and because they're perhaps more cloistered. Let's imagine, play it forward in your brain, and imagine that jury comes back and says both sides lose. Johnny loses, she loses, both sides lose. I expect that in that scenario, there will be an outcry across social media that Johnny got screwed. And everyone, because public opinion is so, they're making memes. There's a viral thing going around TikTok where they're making fun of where she said this thing, like,
the bee?
And my dog
The bee. Yeah, the bee. We saw it's the bee.
Yeah.
How does your dog step on a bee? I still don't understand that.
So and there's like one person, they have like clips put together. One person saying like, "And my mom stuck in a tree," and then another person saying like, I'm trying to learn Tai Chi," and like everyone making.
I ran out of TP.
Yeah, exactly. Like one after
my
another,
dog stepped on a bee.
mocking her ridiculous, over the top exaggerations in her hyper drama acting. So my point is this: if you're Johnny Depp and you happen to get a jury that just for one reason or another, there's a couple of people in there who believe that her dog stepped on a bee and that was the most painful moment of her life. So, and you don't win, I think the public outcry will become like a cult thing, almost like Epstein didn't kill himself. Like this outcry, I don't know if it'll reach quite that level. It's going to be very loud. A lot of people are starting to get really riled up on his defense, and that alone has uncanceled him, because whether he wins or there's a public outcry because he fails to win, that shows that the public at large basically think that Amber is a complete joke and that Johnny got railed here. So, and that's really what he wanted at the end of the day. He wanted the public, and less so than the 7 people giving him money. He wanted the public at large to all basically realize that he was a victim both during the relationship and then afterwards. So
God bless that this is filmed and that we can see it.
Yes.
Because all we had with secondhand reporting, even transcripts, we would not get this kind of effect.
Nope.
It's only because we can watch it
You're right.
and we can look at it and we can see it that we're able to assess it. So God bless that this is being filmed and we're in this position.
Amen. So amen to that. Well, we're going to be lightning round for super chats. If you guys want to stay, I'm going to just be gunning them down and trying to answer some questions. You guys are more than happy to stay. But if you guys are going to leave, just let me know so I can make sure everybody knows where to find you.
Yeah, I got
all that
pushed
stuff.
out of here.
All right, so Joe, let the people know where to find you and what you're doing later, because are you going to be live streaming today?
Yeah, I'm gonna be live at 1 o'clock. So I plan on basically. This week I've pretty much been reviewing testimony. I'm gonna send the link out to LawTube so that you guys who want to sit in with me can join.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm in the middle of going through the Depp testimony. I'm in the middle. I'm like halfway, 2/3 of the way through the cross. And when I finish that in the redirect, I plan on going into the testimony of Isaac Baruch and reviewing that. So, I think a lot of people miss that. They've seen clips of him sort of looking at Elaine saying "Amica Creek." So I want to go through that. I want to go through that testimony. And I also found an audio conversation between Johnny and Amber that I think very few people have seen. It's a pretty new drop. Came out within the last couple of weeks that very few people seem to have heard. It's like an hour-long conversation between Johnny and Amber. So that I'm sure people are going to want to watch. I definitely want to watch it. I don't know if I'll either do it today or tomorrow. But I'm starting my stream up today at 1 o'clock. So you guys check it out. I think
Now everybody's link that you see here is going to be in the chat. It's not in the chat. It's going to be in the description. It's not there now because I have to stop and put it in, but it will be there. So if you can just click on the links, you'll see the @GoodLogic, @PotentiallyCriminal. Let me make sure see if I can add it in now. Yes, I can. All right. So yes, so all their links are in the chat. So just go and click on it, and it'll take you straight to their channel. Because these guys are really being as generous as possible, spending time with me and helping give you guys this legal analysis. So it's I can't thank them enough. And the only way that they get anything out of it is if you guys at least just go check out their stuff. And I think when you guys go check it out, you guys will love it. So please.
So please,
all right, Joe. Thank you so much.
You added me in there. Everyone
yep, you are in.
All right. So please make sure that you add me in, because otherwise I'm gonna be. It's gonna be terrible. And scene.
See you, Joe.
All right, listen, Joe. We'll see you later.
He's trying to take my gig, though. That's my role.
Oh my God! All right, so we are going to rapid fire your super chats. So get ready, guys, because this is going to be the lightning storm. We're going to try to read them now. Any super chats that come in after 11:35 may not be read. So we'll try to read them.
You could just disable the super chats.
Yes. Oh,
that's crazy talk.
I'm going to throw them up on screen, but I'm not going to read them. These are the ones that I can read now because I have a hard deadline at 12 o'clock. So I got to get out of here at 12. So just so everybody knows, anything after in 2 minutes is not going to be read. Well, we'll throw it up, but it's not going to be read. See, people are throwing in ones right now. So yes. And if we have a little bit of time, it may be read, but there are no promises. Right now, I'm going to read the 42 I have right now. Everything after that, you're taking a chance. So first, let's go right now. Boom. Hefty. Is it beneficial to your case not to turn over all the evidence? We read this. Amber's phone records was the best evidence. We read that one. LOL. Melika. Is it Melika? Melika. LOL. Someone wrote Amica for Elaine in the lowercase, and RN turned into M. So RN turned into M, and she just repeated it Amica instead of Arnica a million times. That's true. She did. Maybe they wrote down, or maybe she just saw it as together. It is Arnica. It's Arnica cream, right? It's not.
It is
Amica.
Arnica.
Yeah,
it is Arnica. Yeah.
Can you call the police? Can you call the police and claim you were verbally abused? I don't think so, but it all depends on the state you're in. I don't want to get into that because
generally there's got to be a threat.
Yeah. Like, he's threatened to kill me. Yeah, that is verbal abuse.
I
thought in the eyes of the law, abuse was sort of equal with the type of assault, but assault too isn't physical though. natural assault
That's
is
true.
the fear of being attacked, the fear of being hit.
That's
So you're talking about really a battery. So a battery is the physical contact. Assault is the fear of being hit. So that would be the difference. So yeah, you could have an assault without any physical injuries or without any physical contact. Lodi says, "Hi from Denmark. DK ran home from work this afternoon to get my daily law tube fixed. Thank you. That's all. Thanks to all of you. That I can't read. Thanks to all of you for covering this trial. Thank you so much. And people, if I'm reading your super chats a little crazy, it's because I have these new glasses that I'm still trying to get used to. So please forgive me, but I'm going to continue to read them out because the only way I'm going to get used to them is by doing this. So thank you again. Ms. E. Jane says, love the channel, Nate. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Yes, and thanks to my panel too for sharing their knowledge. So I really appreciate them being here. And please, guys, go check them out. Links in the description. Absolutely, Joe. Focus on sexual violence claim. That's what also Uncivil Law was saying. She adopted it by retweeting. That's the clearest cause of damages. Don't muddy things. And that's essentially what you were saying too, Kurt. You were saying that it's clear that that if you get the sexual assault, that's so much better for Johnny's case, right? And you too potentially, right? That the sexual assault allegation is probably the strongest allegation Johnny has. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think so as well, especially after everything she went into in trial. I mean, that was so explicit that I mean, if any of that was true, even the little spit is just insane.
Yeah. Mr. Opinionated, have any if you argued before the Supreme Court? I haven't, but I know Ron Coleman has, right? Ron has, or I think his firm has. I'm not sure. If yes, what do you submit for consideration? What do you submit for consideration of your case? Are all decisions made public at once? Generally not. The Supreme Court kind of lays, the decisions can't come out scattered. What do you guys think about this, Mr. Opinionated?
I haven't myself. Be nice one day if I ever did.
Oh yeah.
It's like a bucket life goal, man. That's that's pretty badass, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
I could do it. I've listened to enough oral arguments. I'm confident. Let's go.
But don't forget though, and the main point I think about this is that, let's just be honest, not they pick their own cases. So it's like there's so many cases that people want to go to the Supreme Court. You don't have a right to the Supreme Court, and if they don't take your case, there's so many lawyers who had a possibility, but they can't get there because they have to choose. They got to say your case is important enough where we want to hear it, and that's just not the case a lot of times with the Supreme Court. So there are lawyers who are in the federal system who will go their whole career with not ever making it up to the Supreme Court because that's how hard it is. It's extremely hard, extremely way to get there.
Even your state Supreme Court's really hard.
Yeah, it's Oh yeah. Due to the statement about Amber Heard 2 years ago, I was a public figure, domestic, but yes, doesn't this imply that she meant physical abuse? I agree, but domestic abuse, even in Virginia, is expanded to even emotional abuse. So you can imply that, but even in Virginia, where they're at, domestic abuse, as you've put here in your first sentence, is actually defined as both physical, emotional, economic. Like there's a whole list of them. And Johnny Depp's doctors talked about it. So you're right. Even though it implies it, it doesn't mean that. Not emotional, verbal, 2 years prior that made her a public figure. Ex parte order and photos of Bruce's face. That's usually enough to do it though. If you go to court and say this person abused me, and you got photos of bruises, you can get an ex parte order because the court's going to say, well, let's hold off on this because the evidence you brought me here shows that you've been hurt and this person may be abusive. So thank you for the $20 super chat. Let me try to just run through these. How damaging is the claim of an angry sex that Heard testified to? How damaging is the claim of angry sex that Heard testified? I don't remember the angry sex. You guys remember that?
No.
I think she said there were some points where they had sex and Johnny was just like rough and aggressive and angry. I mean, if any of that was remotely true, it would be devastating to Johnny because it's even worse than him abusing her, but now he's sexually assaulting her almost. And yeah, I mean, if they were true, but none of it's believable or true.
Yeah, and none of it seems believable or true, which is crazy. But it's one of those things where, again, this is a classic he said she said. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's what this is. And I, at this point, I don't believe her. And even if I don't believe him, I still the evidence that he's put forward makes it more likely than not. And I think if that's the standard, more likely than not, then which is essentially preponderance of the evidence, then yeah, I think he's got me. He's got me on that on the standard. Simon says, as things stand now, do you think Amber Heard should consider the defense that she could not help lying?
No, she's
but
too far gone.
she was abused anyway.
No,
Admit the
that's not going to work
exaggeration.
now. No, that's not going to work now.
Yeah, that boat sailed years ago at this point.
Amber Heard equals bad lie. Amber Heard didn't get medical attention. She didn't even mention doctoring herself. Didn't talk about bandaging her cuts or even an ice pack. That's true. Again, the issue that I think everybody's talking about is that Amber Heard says she's taking these brutal beatings, and then right after it, when security, doctors, everybody come there, nobody sees any injuries. So that's the problem. And her essentially defense is they're all lying and paid by Johnny. And that's why they're not telling the truth. And the one person who wouldn't have lied happens to be Jerry Judge and uncivil. What happened? Where's Jerry Judge?
Yep.
He's dead. So the only person that can verify a story, the only people that can verify a story.
Are we saying that Amber Heard pulled a Vincent Foster?
I'm just saying those are the facts that we know now. Loretta says all videos recordings show JD defending himself. Either all the doctors, nurses, bodyguards, concierge, etc. All are liars, or AH is the liar. Yep, that's essentially what we got here. And that's why I think the media is now shifting their thing to Johnny Depp. Nikki says usually emotional, violent testimony will make a person empathetic when hearing it. However, I feel nothing listening to Amber. Amen to that. I'm gonna get Viva on stream. This is Ian McDonald. I actually found your channel through Viva, and you are now my favorite daily view. AH comes off as a liar to me. Thank you for the compliment, and I think that's true for all of us. Mercy says, how can SV and DV be admittable when there is no physical evidence documented by the doctors, clinic, and police? Because she's alleging it, right? It's simple, right? She's up there on the stand saying it happened to her, and she's a first person witness, right? This happened to me. I was there. That you can take to court. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Testimony is evidence.
Testimony is absolutely evidence. People forget this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the robber. That's evidence.
That's evidence.
Kit Kat 78. I think we are in danger of turning this into a men versus women thing, when what it should be is a victim survivor being against the abuser thing. Victims are victims. Lists are liars. Kit Kat, you're 100% right. This has never actually been a men and women's thing. I think some aspects of society have taken it to that part, but it's always been for me. But I like when I was in law enforcement, our motto was, whoever comes in us and tells us a story, I believe you, but I'm going to investigate it before I make allegations against anyone else, right? So you come and tell me this happened to me. I'm believing what you're saying to me, and I'm going to see if I can verify what you're saying to me. I'm not going to allege this person did it, this person did it. I'm going to investigate. And that's what I think we're missing here with Me Too. People can make allegations, but those allegations got to be substantiated sometimes. And, we go through that process. And victims can be men or women. But this whole believe all women and only believe women, I think cheapens domestic violence victims, because they can be anybody. I think Johnny Depp here is suffering through that because he is a domestic violence victim. No matter what you believe about, the severity, he has suffered domestic. I think he's shown that clearly. But I think it's hard for people to accept it because he's not a woman. If you switch the genders in this case, I don't think we even have this conversation. I think the conversations go totally differently, right?
Yep. But when someone pointed that out for the first time and I realized that, I was like, oh, yeah, there's a cognitive bias here. So
yeah, just imagine if you go to a house and you see the wife, her tip of her fingers cut off, she's all beat up, the place is a wreck, and the husband looks fine. He's like, yeah, she cut her own finger off and she did it to herself, right?
Yeah.
Are we really talking about are we really saying we believe him?
No, the fact that the responses are so different says something about, I don't know, me or my culture. It's like, I agree with you, but like it should be the same logically, but it's not.
It's not. That's why we're in this trial. Why didn't Amber Heard just settle out of court? Because her reputation is destroyed because of the testimony given so far. She has lost her career over this. Great point. I think you're right.
I'm not so 100% convinced about that proposition.
Yeah. But remember, it's not just Amber. Johnny has to agree to a settlement, and at this point,
no, we're in it to win.
No, there's no settlement.
Yeah,
what are the
it's an
chances for a
unconditional
settlement?
surrender.
What's the chances for a settlement, guys?
0.
I mean, unless she's gonna let him, get like 5 minutes of uncontested airtime, and he can just do whatever he wants.
The only way if I'm Johnny Depp's lawyers, I'd even consider a settlement is if there's an open admission.
Yes.
Yeah.
To basically, I lied. I did all the bad things. I'm basically a horrible person. Because that's what I want, really, at the end of the day. It's like, I want the admission, but I'll never get her to agree to that. They gave me $50 million before they gave me the admission. I'd sooner agree to $1 and the admission than $50 million without it. I mean, at least if I'm him, because that's what we really are trying to aim for. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's get to the next one. These things are going fast. All right. We had Secret Squirrel. Now we are here for, I'm not sure what currency that is, but what impact, if any, will it have on the jury when the judge tells them in closing that Amber Heard's team did not turn over the evidence as ordered? You get a negative inference. So you'll say, essentially, it's going to say they didn't turn it over because you can infer that whatever the evidence was going to be negative against that the party who's supposed to turn it over. So it's called the negative inference. It's a very powerful thing. So that essentially would happen, but the judge has to make a ruling on that. I don't think the judge has made a ruling on that now. Tina Taylor says, what time Saturday are you going to play the game? We're looking at either at night about 8-9 o'clock, or we're looking at Friday night about 8-9 o'clock. So everybody knows what game we're talking about. We're talking about objections, where we're going to be taking objections from the case, and we're going to let the question and answer come. We're going to listen to the objection and what the objection is, and then we are going to play against the chat. The chat's going to determine whether it should be sustained or overruled. The lawyers are going to say whether it should be sustained or overruled, and then we're going to hear what the judge says and see who has a better grasp on it. The chat beat us last time, so we got revenge for you, chat. So that's why. But I'll put it up. Thank you, Tina. I'll put it up. I want to get my friends together and play. I'm serving minestrone. What is that? Mimos? You guys know what that is? Mimosa. Oh, mimosas or mega pints. Yes. The
Mimosas kick ass.
Oh yeah, I love mimosas.
I like to mix up the flavors though. I like to do like a grapefruit and other flavors than just the orange juice.
She's suing for a hoax. Tweets made by Johnny's old lawyer Adam. She says he was JD's agent. So it's an agent theory. It's possible, but I don't know. I got to check that out. Before I speak about this, I want to check this out before I see it. $2. It's not JD's word. She's suing, but for Waldman. So everybody's saying that. So we got to check that out. I'm not knowledgeable enough to comment on that. Carrie says, do you guys know anything about that? The whole Johnny Depp, somebody else said it, but he's being implied he said. I don't know.
Oh, I missed this one.
All right, moving on. Next super chat by Carrie, $5. Do they need to prove intent by JD? For Amber's claims, yes, the intent would be actual malice because she's a public figure too, so they got to prove intent. Her feelings are not facts. True. It is, that's all she presented, stories and feelings with zero legitimate evidence. But I want to also make it very clear. We all have to continue to be open-minded about this because she could present something, right? She could, in her case in chief, which is still going on and still coming up, she could present something. So we should be open-minded that she could have some evidence, right? And we should be open-minded to the evidence, not to the story, but to the evidence. She tells us a story, but we verify with the evidence. We can't verify with the evidence, then we can disregard her story.
I mean, if she has some, couple credible eyewitnesses come in and they can testify to significant bruising or something, that would help a lot. So if she has if she has some credible witnesses who can come in, then we'll radically reassess the case at that point.
Oh, you got no choice. Lugata says, "Hey, I'm from Canada. The TikTok videos of people impersonating Amber are hilarious. Yes, we watched them yesterday. They were fantastic." This one says, "Hi, Nate. Amber Heard owes her notoriety to Johnny Depp, though. Her damages are self-inflicted. Thank you for the great content." Thank you, and I definitely agree. Mike says, "What happens if the jury believes that Amber was the primary abuser, but Johnny was also abusive?"
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think that's also just a question of fact for the jury about what domestic abuse means. Because I don't think there's a legal definition here. There would be if we were in a DV case.
Oh, yeah,
but we're not in a DV case. We're in a defamation case. So the question about what domestic violence means or what sexual violence means is a question for the jury. I think it has to be. And so then the question becomes like, well, if you can prove this element, does the jury think that's it, or or that, and so if they think that Johnny Depp's actions were always responsive, is that domestic abuse? Is the question they would have to decide.
Well, one thing, just about this question, it all depends on the count too, because don't forget you got 2 counts that are just alleged abuse. Not physical, just abuse. But you have the 1 sexual violence account. So I think if and this is kind of splitting the baby. I think he can win on the sexual violence and lose on the abuse, and it's still the same win for Johnny. So Johnny just needs, if he wins on the sexual violence and lose on the abuse, I think that's still a win for Johnny.
He just needs to win on defamation on one of the 3.
Yeah. So he has got multiple bites at the apple. Warren says a petition to Kennex to cancel, I'm assuming, Amber Heard are derived from not believing her claims, not from anything Johnny said as far as the trial. Isn't there an immunity for that? Yes, there was a litigation privilege that we heard of before, where she could make the claims on the stand because they're in the middle of litigation. So yeah, so I think
the immunity is for civil lawsuits. So she's immune from everything she says on the stand from that being used against her in some subsequent lawsuit. Like you can't sue her for defamation again for saying it now. So she's immune in that sense. She's not immune from being canceled because that's private action. So yeah,
actually, a very good point. Blurry Light says name calling, cursing, saying hateful things are worthy of consideration. But when are hurt feelings the basis of a lawsuit? Interesting take.
Well, any IED maybe?
IED or an IED?
Any ideas like trying to hurt feelings? This shit.
When an attorney needs to start making boat payments. I got to figure out a new plan.
That's good. You're right. TMZ got the picture.
Don't buy a boat. Buying a boat is stupid. I would never buy a boat. I'd sooner buy like a plane because I think it'd be cool to have like a Cessna or something to fly around. But boat is not. No, that's
boats are bad.
That's a trap.
But was it bust out another 1,000? That's why it's the money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What are the two best days of boat ownership? The day you buy it and the day you sell it.
They sell it.
Yeah.
TMZ got the pictures that were not allowed in the court showing no bruising. Shows no bruising. Looks like she bit her lip with a dry lip. How did TMZ get those photos? I don't know. TMZ pays well.
With the bag of cash. Yeah.
Yeah, they pay well. Atheist for the cause says if Depp gets offered back into Pirate 6 and rejects the offer, does that hurt his chances in this case?
Well, that's not going to happen in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2-3 weeks, right?
No.
Yeah.
Can you discuss the quid pro quo between Amber and the ACLU? Isn't that the crux of the defamation? Well, I gotta lightning round this because time is running out on me. But let me see. Can you discuss the quid pro quo? Well, Amber said she was giving them $3.5 million. She didn't give them $3.5 million, so there was a little quid pro quo there. And that's essentially what it was, right? You give us this money, we'll make you an ambassador, we'll promote your stuff, and it'll actually help for Iron Man. So the ACLU I think they avoided liability because they have enough to say with the evidence, restraining order and everything. There's no actual malice here. We did our homework and we had a first person account telling us.
I totally agree. I think a lawsuit against the ACLU or the Washington Post would be a total loser.
Yeah. This one, if her phone was hacked in 2014 and the pictures in it and had pictures in it with bruises, how could none of them be leaked? I just don't know.
Good questions.
Elaine for $10 says in the hit punch audio, why would a habitual abuser say to his victim, don't tell me what it feels like to be punched? And why wouldn't Amber respond with, of course, I don't know. You punch me all the time. That makes sense. That makes sense. But in this case, it's hard because don't forget, she's the abuser. He is the abused. And it's hard because of the gender roles. It seems like it's hard for people to get their heads wrapped around
it is.
What's going on.
And that's why I really hope that if Johnny Depp wins this thing, I really hope he will do some public advocacy for male domestic violence, because he might be able to do some real good in this world if he, becomes a face of male domestic violence with a campaign from a appropriate non-for-profit. So I really hope he will, because please, Johnny, if you're out there or your lawyers, please, I beg you.
Crystal Pond says for $10, I am the only one who heard her say he wanted sex, which wasn't normally for him. I'm the only one who heard her say he wanted sex, which wasn't normally for him. I'm not sure I'm following this, but it's an interesting point. Sidebar. My issue with the tissue. She snorted with the tissue then used her hand to wipe her nose afterwards. That's true. She used the tissue and then she wiped her nose. So wouldn't you wipe with the tissue? Again, it's good for us, but I don't think it's going to move the needle in court.
Yeah.
Age brought up Kate Moss being thrown down the stairs. So Age opened the door to past DV allegations. I'm not sure, but we will see soon. That everybody's asking that question, but we're just going to have to find out together. You Are Wrong says for $10 Australian audios, she wouldn't be nude during it in the story. After the essay, she went to bed and woke up and saw the finger, then called people to help. So she would have got dressed before she came. But that's not the story that I heard. The story that she told on the stands showed that she had this violent assault, and during this violent assault, it kind of slowed down, and then people came in. And that's when then we have the recording start when people come in. And she gives an account about what happens during the recording that doesn't match the recording. So maybe you're right. Maybe there's a timeline issue, but I'll check it again, because I've listened to the record. I listened to what she said about the recording, and she described the events, then I'll listen to the recording, and they just don't match. Again, time is running limited, so I'm going to thank you for the super chats, but we're going to be running through these pretty fast because I want to get them up. If you guys can, if you can literally cut someone's finger off and get someone to say they abused you for screaming at you for it, I think that is what really matters here. Context matters. You should be allowed to defend. That's true, and that's what reflexive abuse is. That's what people are saying. Reflexive abuse. Famous people don't buy Walgreens makeup. Possibly. Now well, we did it. If you watch this channel, we covered it, and it was demonetized harshly.
Yes.
Cynthia says it's going to be the same way if Amber Heard loses. There's going to be an uproar about victims. I'm a victim. She is giving real victims a bad name. I think most people understand that.
Amber Heard's going to try to make a thing of it. I'm sure she's going to do some sort of tell about the jury. This just proves how far we're behind, and we still don't believe women of violence and blah blah. Yeah, I'm sure she'll do the routine. I don't think it will get much play.
This is just like The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, probably The Handmaid's Tale, which I'm now going to be starring in a remake.
Yes.
So this is the last super chat that I am going to read. Hey, new viewer here. Does Amber Heard adding more allegations hurt Amber Heard's case? Well, I think we all agree. Yes, because she seemed to add a lot a lot. She seemed to add a lot. Wouldn't that make the burden of evidence harder for Amber's defamation case? Yes. Now, both of you spoke to it. So potentially, while you're here, you mentioned that because you and Kurt both mentioned because the allegations have turned into something so extravagant that essentially removes the middle, because the middle was the muddy where we both were abusing each other. She's kind of moved that from being a middle to where now it's two extremes. Either you believe everything she's saying or believe nothing.
If she had made softer claims, she would have totally won. But she's made such extreme claims.
Yeah.
She's killed her case.
Yeah, she tried to swing for the fences, and
this was not the time to swing for the fences. This was the time to bunt. And if she had bunted, she would have totally won it, and it would be great. But no.
yeah, and that's a problem. And if any of it was believable, you're not going to take her word for it when you know she's clearly lying about something. So.
Yeah, but again, I think the middle ground would have been better, because I think Amber could have made the argument, right? He did all this to me, but I wasn't such a great person to him. This is, it's very muddy, and I think she wins the muddy battle, but she's not going for the money. She's going for the win. And you got to respect it on one end that, hey, you're going for the win, but the lies are just way too much. It's just so unbelievable. And with that, listen, everyone, thank you so much for the generous super chats. Thank you for spending your morning with us. Thank you for looking at how the media does all this craziness to both domestic violence victims and the domestic violence victims who are women. And it's interesting to see how now the narrative is starting to change, because again, pre-trial, the narrative was Johnny Depp was an abuser. But now post-trial, that narrative has been blown up. It's kind of like, well, we don't really know who's the abuser, who is or who's not. And that, I think, is an interesting difference from what's going on. But with that said, my name is Nate the Lawyer. I told you guys I had a hard 12 o'clock time frame because I got to go pick up children and get some lunch. But thank you for my guests. Please check out their links in the description. Please go subscribe to their channel. This was fantastic that we had so many people. I had almost 9,000 people here this morning. And my name is Nate the Lawyer. We'll be playing objections either Friday or Saturday. I'll let you guys know. And for uncivil law and potentially criminal, thank you guys so much again. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you guys for being so awesome. And we'll see you next time. Peace.